Happy solstice and welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are a group of spiritual freethinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Drew Valonis, your worship associate for this morning, and the service today will be led by Jody Brown and Abby Hallauer-Geiger. Thank you to everyone on this morning's worship team, also including music by Bill Mells and our occasional choir. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway, and whether it's your first visit or your 1,000th, we are glad you came. This service is also being live streamed on our YouTube channel. We will plan on continuing with the hybrid worship services, so you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube. To help us connect better with our friends watching from home, please turn around and give a wave to the camera. At the end of the service, we will invite our friends on Zoom to turn on their cameras and return the wave. And today's service is intergenerational. I have a few announcements to share with you today. To help make the most of our time together, event details can be found on the printed announcements in the back of the room or the weekly email. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, please fill out the card on or near your chair. We invite you to bring them forward and place them in the basket after Bill rings the chimes and begins to play. You can also come forward to drop a pebble in the water if you have a joy or sorrow that you'd prefer not to share. As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and devices. The Finger Lakes Justice Partnership, FLXJP, Legacies of Justice Calendar is available for ordering. Cost is $20. The ordering link is in the weekly newsletter. Lynn Overgaard has agreed to pick up all the calendar orders for UUCC and bring them to the church. Put UUCC in the comments section if you want Lynn to get yours too. Please join us today after the service for our annual carol sing and cookie sale. It's gonna be real fun. There will also be cookies to share and eat together. We will have a Christmas Eve service here at the church at 4 p.m. on December 24th. It will be a no rehearsal pageant, friendly for all ages. Next week, on December 28th, we'll have a hybrid meeting of the Social and Environmental Justice Committee immediately following the service to prepare for the frozen season and the start of a new year. New York Renews is having a regional convening on January 10 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the First Unitarian Church of Rochester to celebrate climate wins in New York State, including Governor Hochul's recent signing of legislation to end the 100-foot rule and a call to action to accomplish remaining goals. One relevant concern is supporting Tonawanda Seneca Nation and their efforts to stop stamp. Our next Justice Table is scheduled for Friday, January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. If you are able, please bring a dish to pass and supplies for one or more birthday kits to be distributed to local food pantries and blessing boxes. Take a copy or a photo of the flyers hanging on the bulletin board between the bathrooms for instructions on supplies needed for the kits. Are there any other announcements for the good of the community? As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and devices. We now enter a space of worship. Now is the time to bring forward any joys or sorrows or come up to drop a pebble.
We're going to do our chalice lighting a little different today for our solstice worship. So as we celebrate the darkness season and welcome the return of the light today, we're going to light the chalice and honor all corners of our earth, all corners of our year with our hearts open. So if you're willing and able, stand with me as we call these corners in. I think Jody and I decided east is that way.
Does everybody
Okay.
agree? We are both directionally challenged.
So as we turn to the east, your response to me is going to be hail and welcome after I call it in. As we turn to the east, welcome the element of air to join us. We reflect on the beauty and freshness of springtime and ask that the memories of the beginnings guide us always as we journey through life. And your response is hail and welcome. Hail and welcome. Perfect. As we turn to the south. We're going to get...
Help us out here.
As we turn to the south, we welcome the element of fire to join us. We remember the warmth of summer on our bodies and open ourselves to growth and expansion as we journey through life. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
As we turn to the west, I know where it is, y'all. We welcome the element of water to join us. We give thanks for the role that water plays in granting us an abundant harvest, and we remember to express our gratitude for every blessing found on our journey through life. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
As we turn to the north, we welcome the element of earth to join us. We reflect on the grounding she gives us in this present season and remind ourselves to find ways to stay centered and connected as winter approaches on our ever-cyclical journey through life. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Poppy, you want to help me light the chalice? I'm going to switch. I'm going to light the chalice. As the chalice is lit, we thank you, Spirit, for being in our hearts today and always on this journey through life. Hail and welcome. Come here, Poppy.
Turn the season's wheel. If you would turn in your hymnal, Oren?
Maria asked.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to come turn it,
We
Maria?
have a helper. Maria's going to help us turn it. You can turn in your hymnal to number 73. There are 4 verses there. We're going to sing the second one, which is the one for winter. The chant for the seasons.
Long before Christmas, long before calendars mapped the year into neat months and weeks, people across Northern Europe marked the turning of the year with Yule, turning of the wheel, the festival of the midwinter sun. It was a time when the nights were longest, the earth deepest in sleep, and the promise of returning light shimmered just beyond the horizon. Yule was not a single day, but a season, a sacred pause. Fires were lit, Evergreen boughs were hung and feasts were shared, honoring the sun's slow return and the cycles of life and death that governed the land. It was a time of reflection, protection, and renewal, when households cleared out old energies and called blessings into their homes for the coming year. The ancient Norse and Germanic peoples celebrated with ritual and revelry. In some tales, Odin himself rode across the skies during Yule, leading the wild hunt, a procession of spirits and ancestors that reminded people of the thin veil between worlds. In Celtic and Druidic traditions, Yule honored the rebirth of the sun with symbols of light, candles, torches, golden fruits, offered to guide the returning warmth. Evergreen trees, now so entwined with modern winter celebrations, were originally symbols of eternal life, standing green against the decay of winter. Holly, ivy, mistletoe, plants that survive frost, were hung in homes to invite protection and resilience. Feasting, storytelling, and song filled the long nights, binding communities together against the darkness. In modern practice, Yule invites us to pause, reflect, and honor the rhythms of nature rather than the calendar alone. It is time to light candles, decorate with symbols of endurance and abundance, and mark the turning of the sun with small rituals of gratitude, intention, and connection.
There are many ways this winter season is celebrated in our world, but as Jody just mentioned, there are shared central ideas that we share in goodwill with gifts and time spent in community. And the popular American belief is that these traditions started with Christmas, but I learned a lot during the research for this. And the first ever winter occasion was recorded in ancient Egypt. They honored their sun god Horus in their 12th month. And Mesopotamians, Babylonians, Persians, they all had their own sun-honoring traditions, similarly right around the shortest day of the year. The Greeks worshipped Zeus, the Romans had Saturnalia, and during these times, schools were closed, debts forgiven, and candlelit feasts held. Then came the Christians, and they worshipped a different sun, the Son of God. Celebrations for Jesus, the light of the world, share similar threads of these ancient customs that came before. Across cultures and continents, we find remarkably similar responses to winter's darkness. Can you stand up? That'd be great. Diwali celebrates the light's continued defeat of darkness. Hanukkah holds flames for 8 nights, rekindling hope and faith. The Haudenosaunee midwinter ceremony starts by stirring the ashes from all their sacred fires held throughout the year to awaken Mother Earth. What I find not surprising is that from the start of humankind, we've clung to the same rituals and the same traditions. We celebrate light, cherish togetherness, offer gratitude, and find joy in the long nights. In this room, we are all a diverse group of people from different eras and regions with different customs and practices. So let's bring back the light and be of good cheer and open hearts for our shared history today. So please rise now in body or in spirit and join in our opening hymn, Has Summer Come Now Dawning? Nailed it. In the number 72. Okay, can you sit in your seat?
Summer come now dawning amidst the winter
gonna help me read the story? Okay. Today's story is called Grandmother Spider Brings the Sun. It's an old Cherokee legend. A long time ago, it is said that half the world had the sun, but the other side of the world was very dark. It was so dark, all the animals were always bumping into each other and getting lost. Wolf lived on this side of the world. He was tired of everybody bumping into him and asking him for directions. For you see, Wolf could see in the nighttime. Wolf gathered all the animals in a big cave. He got up in front of them and crossed his arms, and he said, "I am tired of everybody bumping into me and asking me for directions. I have an idea," he said. "I think we should go to the other side of the world and ask them for a piece of their sun. I think if we're nice, they'll give us a piece." Another animal jumped up. This was Coyote, known as the trickster, because he lies and cheats and steals. Coyote said, No. I don't think we should be so nice. If they're so nice, how come they haven't offered us a piece of their sun?" The other animals nodded in agreement. "I have a better idea," Coyote said. "I think we should sneak over there and just steal a piece." "Steal a piece," said Wolf. "What are you talking about, Coyote?" Calm down, Coyote said. "We're not going to steal a big piece. We'll only take a little piece, and they'll never even miss it." And this is what they decided to do. Then all the animals began asking, "Who's going to go to the other side of the world, and how will we get there?" From the back of the room came a small voice. "Hey, I'll go. Wolf said, "Who is that? Come down here. I can't see you." Down to the front of the room came a little round animal with chubby cheeks. He was shy and quiet. He stood up in front of all the animals. As he looked at those hundreds of eyes looking back of him, he got kind of scared. He looked out over the crowd, and he said in his timid voice, "Hi, my name is Possum. I think I can go to the other side of the world. You see, I've got these long, sharp claws, and I can dig a tunnel. And then when I go all the way to the other side, I'll take a piece of the sun, and I'll hide it in my big, bushy tail." "Oh, a tunnel," Wolf said. "That's the best idea yet." So Possum went to the big wall of dirt at the back of the cave, stuck his claws in, and began to dig and dig and dig, faster and faster and faster. Possum disappeared inside the tunnel, and soon as he had gone all the way to the other side of the world. Now Possum had never seen the sun, so when he popped out on the other side, the light hit his eyes, and he was blinded. His eyes got all squinty, and he rubbed them with his dirty fists, saying, "Hey, I can't see." Well, you know, Possum's eyes have been squinty and ringed with dirt ever since. Possum struggled over the sun, took a little piece, and put it inside his bushy tail. He then turned around and came running back the tunnel. Possum ran faster and faster. Something started to get hot inside his tail, but Possum kept running faster and faster. Then something got hotter, and Possum kept running faster, and soon he ran into the room where all the animals were waiting. They saw smoke coming out of his tail, and they screamed, "Possum, your tail, your tail!" And they threw water on him. Whoosh, the light was gone. Then the smoke had cleared, and Wolf looked up and said, "Oh no, Possum, look at your tail, it's all skinny." And you know, Possum's tail has been that way ever since. Wolf said, "We still don't have any sun. What are we going to do now?" A voice from the back of the room said, "Send me, I'll go." Down to the front stormed a large bird with long black feathers and a crown of feathers all over his head. He held his head high and stuck his chest out as he marched importantly past the other animals. This bird was a show-off. He thought he was the most beautiful bird alive. He stood up in front of all the animal people and said, "It's me, Big Bad Buzzard. I'll go to the other side, and it won't take me long because I wouldn't be so dumb as to hide it in my tail. I'm going to hide it in my big, beautiful crown of feathers." Buzzard jumped into the tunnel and soared through the darkness, but it didn't take long until he came out on the other side. He took a piece of sun, put it in his crown, turned around, and soared through the tunnel. As he came through, something started to get hot on his head. Buzzard soared faster, and it got hotter, and soon he came through the room where all the animals were waiting. They looked up and saw smoke coming from his head. "Oh no, Buzzard, your head!" They got water, and whoosh, the light went out. Wolf looked up and said, "Buzzard, you're bald." All of Buzzard's feathers crackled and fell down to the ground. Big Bad Buzzard got so shy and quiet, he ran and hid in the back of the room. And you know, Buzzard has been bald ever since, and he doesn't like anybody looking at him. Wolf said, Possum's burned off his tail, and now Buzzard's bald, and we still don't have any sun. What are we going to do now? A tiny voice said from above, Send me, I'll go, I'll go. Wolf looked down, but he couldn't tell where it was coming from. Who is that? Where are you? Come down where I can see you. Down from the corner of the ceiling squeaked the tiny voice, Send me. And then right in front of Wolf landed a tiny spider. The spider looked up, and Wolf looked down, and Wolf said, Oh no, not you, Grandma. You can't go to the other side of the world. You're too old, and besides that, you're too slow. Well, this was Grandmother Spider, and she had done many things to help the animals in her long life. She crossed her little arms and said, I know I'm old. You don't have to tell me I'm old, but I want to help my people one more time. I need a piece of clay about this big. You'll get me a piece, won't you, son? Wolf went and got Grandmother Spider the piece of clay, and she sat in the middle of the room and began to chant. Soon she had worked the little piece of clay into a beautiful bowl. She picked up the bowl and disappeared inside the tunnel. They say it took Grandmother Spider a long, long time to get to the other side of the world. The sun guards were out now. They knew somebody was trying to steal some of their sun, and they stood in a tight circle around it. They weren't going to let anybody through. The sun guards were mean-looking monsters with fire coming out of their heads. They had fire coming out of their mouths, and they had weapons ready for a fight. But Grandmother Spider was so tiny, they didn't even see her. She snuck between them, went up to the sun, picked a piece, put it in her clay bowl, and snuck back past the sun guards. She came back down the tunnel very slowly. It took her a long, long time to get to her side of the world. And as she got closer, something happened. The light inside her bowl began to grow. The little rays stretched out of the bowl. As she came to the tunnel in the cave, that bowl of light was glowing, and she could hardly even carry it. All the animals came running to help Grandmother Spider. Blind Possum, Bald Buzzard, Wolf and Coyote and Bear and Deer, all the others. But that ball of light just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it got so big, the animals had to squeeze it out of the cave. And as it squeezed out into the world, it bounced up into the sky. Boing! And it was said from that day on, whenever Grandmother Spider would spin her web, the shape of the sun would be in the center. And as you see, Grandmother Spider spins her web that way to this very day. The end. Can you go sit?
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church in its work. Each week, we would like to spotlight a group or committee and thank them for their gift of time. This week, the group is Members Who Lead Services. People interested in finding out more can contact Danielle Lyon. A quarter of our plate collection for the darkness season will go to our service partner, The Spot. The Spot provides free food, clothing, school supplies, and personal care items to students in the Canandaigua and Victor school districts. Their work ensures equitable, easy access to basic needs. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check into the basket or by one of the options on your screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering. We now gratefully accept the offering.
Drew.
No sorrows today, all joy. One of our members is excited to see her brother and sister-in-law for Christmas. Oh, and that's Kaya. No, they never mind. Okay. Well, sometimes they want us to read the name and sometimes they don't. I want to make sure I got it right here. Okay. So Elliot has a joy because he went skiing last night. There is a member who is embracing seasonal changes and festivities with friends. And Jeff has a joy that he had a successful first semester, and which was done at FLCC, and is looking forward to holiday in Connecticut. I will now drop a stone for these and all the joys and sorrows left in silence for our hearts. Whatever is in your heart today, we are with you. Please say it with me. We are with you.
I'll ask the choir to come and join me, please.
Now is the time in our service when we turn inward and become quiet together. I invite you to get comfortable for our shared silence. Relax any tension. Close your eyes if that feels right, and begin to listen to the small, still voice within.
I'm gonna take this one. You can take
Oh,
that one.
we're going to do it that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then we don't have to keep getting up and down.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're rolling with the punches.
We didn't do this in the dress rehearsal.
No, we did not. Okay, so as we mentioned, common Yule and Christmas traditions come from the celebrations of the first peoples. Can you stop pulling on my legs? That'd be great. The civilizations of Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome set the stage for winter holidays as we know them, pagans, Christians, both, and everything in between. Jody and I researched the history of some of the most common symbols of this season to better understand their origin stories.
In doing research for this, I was quite surprised to learn that most of the traditions we have commonly thought to have pagan origins really have nothing to substantiate that as fact. So this service morphed from the pagan origins of Christmas traditions to shared traditions from many sources. Take the date, for example. I have heard that it comes from Christians wanting to convert pagans, so they use the solstice to do that. But the solstice is actually the 21st, not the 25th. I have also heard that the 25th was the birthday of the Indo-Iranian god Mithras. Also false. Learned a lot doing this. There is a theory that Jesus' conception was March 25th, so if you move 9 months ahead, that's one theory of where the December 25th date comes from, which is not a pagan thing at all.
Evergreens and Christmas trees are also a shared symbol. As suggested in their name, evergreens never lose their color, unlike most plants that eventually brown. This was thought to indicate that these plants and trees had the power to defeat whatever demons roamed wild during the dark winters. The practice of bringing evergreen plants and branches into the home dates back to the ancient Greeks and transitioned into keeping trees in 8th century Germany. The legend goes that Saint Boniface was trying to convert a village of Druids to Christianity, but he could not convince them that the tree was not a sacred being. In his frustration, he chopped an oak down, and it crushed everything in its path, but left a single sapling. He declared this was a miracle, and the trees were a symbol of Jesus, born from God and everlasting love. And so the sacred pagan conifer became too the beloved Christmas tree. Historians also agree that mistletoe originated with Greek winter ceremonies. As it spread across Europe, the pagans began to associate its white berries with fertility and abundance. There is a Norse legend that tells that Frigg, the mother of Balder, loved him so much she couldn't bear the thought of harm ever coming his way. She made a pact with the 4 elemental gods, air, water, earth, and fire, that nothing would ever hurt Balder. God of mayhem, Loki, was up to his usual tricks. He fashioned an arrow of mistletoe and gave it to Balder's blind brother, who then shot Balder. As Frigg cried over the mistletoe wound, her tears sprung the white berries of the plant, and it brought her son back to life. She declared mistletoe a symbol of love, luck, and promise. And since these times, people have kissed under mistletoe to receive Frigg's blessings. How mistletoe made it into our Christmas lexicon is pretty unclear. We do know that it's customary to keep all evergreens, including mistletoe, hanging until the Epiphany feast on January 6th.
So Santa is really quite interesting. His origins actually stem from St. Nicholas. The Dutch called St. Nicholas Sint Nicholas, and it was later shortened to Sinterklaas. And that's where the name comes from. It's kind of a derivation of Sinterklaas. Believe it or not, our current image of Santa with his red suit comes from a 1930s Coca-Cola commercial. You knew that? Yeah. Did anybody else know that? I didn't know. Oh, look at all the people who knew that. Okay. I did not know that. Now, there is speculation that there was the old Norse god Odin. He was very often pictured as an old man with a white beard. And he had an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm not Norse, so I'm not sure. But that may be the inspiration for the 8 reindeer that drive Santa's sleigh. And children would fill their boots with carrots and straw for this horse, which may be the inspiration for the stockings we fill today. So maybe there are some pagan roots to some of these. And as for caroling, that comes from the tradition of wassailing, which comes from the Anglo-Saxon words was hael, which translates to good health. So we are reminded that many sources give these very shared traditions. And I want to share it. There's this website. It was very interesting. I highly encourage you to check it out. historyforatheists.com. It was not the only place that I found that a lot of what we think of as Christian, as pagan origins of the Christian tradition. There were two other places that said the same thing too, but I want to read, this is from History for Atheists. So when critically examined, virtually none of the claimed pagan origins of Christmas traditions stand up to scrutiny. Most are simply not founded on any evidence at all and are merely asserted as being pagan with no sources or support provided. Others seem very ancient and pre-Christian at first glance, but do not have any ancient roots at all. Many are actually quite modern. Only a few may have pre-Christian roots, but this is largely speculation, and that is about as good as we can get. The pagan origins idea, commonly accepted, remains largely because it is repeated without question so often. Isn't that the truth of so many things? What's the saying that the truth, lies are still lies no matter how often they are repeated? Truth is still truth even if it's never spoken. That's what we've got going on here. It is strongly held by many people because it has deep cultural roots. Protestant reformers have been claiming it since 16th century as a way of discrediting unbiblical folk traditions. So, unfortunately, we are likely to see it repeated endlessly every year because simple explanations tend to be remembered more than long historical debunkings. But the fact remains that these claims are almost complete nonsense. Now, I'm not sure if I go to that extreme, but part of what we wanted to do here today was not repeat something that might not be true.
Something that we found in all of the religions that we were researching was the idea of light and fire during this season. Fire melts winter's long chill every year. Candles were given as gifts during Roman Saturnalia. Festivals and homes were traditionally decorated with many tiny lights to chase away the dark winter demons and urge the sun to come back to the sky. The Christians later saw these bright lights as a symbol of Christ's love, the light of the world, and decorating with lights and candles became a feature of Christmas historically and as we know it today. Our holidays remind us that beneath our different theologies lies a shared human experience, our need for light and darkness, hope and despair, in community and isolation. In recognizing these commonalities, we honor both our diversity and our fundamental unity as human beings, seeking the sacred turning of seasons and chasing the light.
Amber called her uncle, said we're up here for the holiday. Jane and I were having solstice, now we need a place to stay. And her Christ-loving uncle watched his wife hang Mary on a tree. He watched his son hang candy canes, all made with red dye number 3. He told his niece, it's Christmas Eve. I know our life is not your style, she said. Christmas is like solstice, and we miss you, and it's been a while. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able. Just before the meal was served, hands were held and prayers were said, sending hope for peace on earth to all their gods and goddesses. The The food was great, the tree plugged in, the meal had gone without a hitch till Timmy turned to Amber and said, "Is it true that you're a witch?" The mom jumped up and said, "The pies are burning," and she hit the kitchen. But it was Jane who spoke. She said, "It's true, your cousin's not a Christian. But we love trees, we love the snow, the friends we have, the world we share. And you find magic from your God, and we find magic everywhere." So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able. Where does magic come from? I say magic's in the learning, 'cause now when Christians sit with pagans, only pumpkin pies are burning. When Amber tried to do the dishes, her aunt said, "Really, no, don't bother." Amber's uncle saw how Amber looked like Tim and like her father. He thought about his brother, how they hadn't spoken in a year. He thought he'd call him up and say, "It's Christmas and your daughter's here." He thought of fathers, sons, and brothers, saw his own son tug his sleeve, saying, "Can I be a pagan?" Dad said, "We'll discuss it when they leave." So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able. Lighting trees in darkness, learning new ways from the old, and making sense of history, and drawing warmth out of the cold.
Lighting up a room and welcoming the return of the sun and warmer days is one of the reasons for this ancient seasonal celebration. Some of you may have heard shine theory, a coin termed by journalist Anne Friedman. Shine theory encourages cooperation over competition, investment over intimidation, a feminist call to reject the capitalist patriarchal notion that none of us must dim our own light in order for someone else's to brighten. So today we're going to shine together and live that out. On your seat was a candle and a holder. When you're ready, hold your candle in your hand and focus on what you want to brighten this year. What is in your heart that needs to sing louder? What are your friends or neighbors working on that you would like to lift up? What do you need more of as the sun brings us closer to the season of abundance? And as you contemplate this, the fire of our community will be passed around the room, growing brighter as we all focus on our good intentions for ourselves and each other. Jody and I are going to come pass the flame to you. Remember how bright you feel now. It looks beautiful. Connected to your neighbors, sharing the light, and keep that feeling as we move into winter. Is my lamplighter in the back? Can you turn the lights back on? When you feel ready, you can blow your candle out. Blessed be.
Our closing hymn is number 58, Ring Out Wild Bells in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit. Okay, so now we're going to release the quarters, and this time your response is hail and farewell. We decide. East. We're going to face the east. As we turn to the east, we thank you, spirits of the east, for being with us this morning. Stay if you will, go if you must. Hail and farewell. Hail and farewell. And now to the south. As we turn to the south, we thank you, spirits of the south, for being with us this morning. Stay if you will, go if you must. Hail and farewell. Hail and farewell. As we turn to the west, we thank you, spirits of the west, for being with us this morning. Stay if you will, go if you must. Hail and farewell. Hail and farewell. As we turn to the north, we thank you, spirits of the north, for being with us this morning. Stay if you will, go if you must. Hail and farewell. Hail and farewell. As the chalice is extinguished, we thank you, Spirit, for being in our hearts today and always on this journey through life. Thank you.